Well, hello all. Say hiya. It's actually a Hebrew word. It means to come to be. We in Scotland say hiya quite a lot to each other, which again is a Hebrew trait that proves that the Scottish people were from, partly from the tribes of Israel, as other kindreds and tongues and nations of people around the world are. We're not exclusive to that trait. But the name Yeshurun means an Israel within Israel. So, just as we know the church is corrupt, as well as Israel was corrupt, there has to be a church within a church, and that's what the name Yeshurun means. It's the Israel, the elect, within the church. That's basically what it means, or the elect within Israel. Because I believe that our covenant comes from the Jewish people, and it's an improved covenant. Okay. So that's a little explanation about what Yeshurun means. And this is a picture, obviously, of the most famous star constellation in the night sky called Orion. This actually speaks of the name of our Creator, the Yod. We see the two open stars at the top coming into the three-star belt. So that's the Yod in the phonetics when you speak the name of Yahweh. So you say Yah, that's what you get. And then the Vwe, it goes out to the two stars at the bottom again. So if you speak the name of Yahweh, that's actually what you get. And I was shown in the spirit after I was born again that the three small stars under Orion's belt that we see here, it's called the Sword of Orion. And that is where there is an actual self-aware wormhole. Okay, let me just say that again. There is a self-aware wormhole in that star constellation belt. See, it's a kind of pinkish star there. And that's where the fallen angels were kicked out of heaven from. That's where they fell from, okay? And that's what we see in the Giza pyramids. Now, whether it was fallen angels that built these pyramids, or obviously they must have used human slaves to actually build them as well. They may have used Israelites as well. But the witness is of heaven itself. There is a reference to it in Isaiah, but most probably it was built by the fallen angels as a witness to where they actually came from. Now in this picture you see Orion the hunter. It's turned round the other way, but it's actually pointing to Aldebaran, which I'll show you in the next picture. Now this self-aware wormhole is actually controlled by Yahweh himself, who is the creator of the universe, okay? So no being can go inside that wormhole and exit through that wormhole where they want to go. It's only where the creator wants to send you. And again, I'll just say that that's how they came out. That's where they came out, just the three stars below, which is called the Sword. And that's what obviously the Giza pyramids are about. But Aldebaran is a very, very referenced part of the universe where a lot of fallen angels or demonic entities, many Christians like to call them, actually say they come from. Okay, they say they're aliens and so on, but actually there's probably planets around there. And again, we see here in this picture, the Egyptians basically worship Sirius, which is to the right foot of the person, just under the staff that the person is holding. The large star is called Sirius. They worship that star, and they also held Aldebaran, which is the star here that the Egyptian is holding in his left hand, as very, very important. And here we see an actual choreography of the main Giza pyramid, which the actual chambers point to the stars of Orion, Sirius, which the Egyptians hold, very, very important. They actually worship them. They call them like king and queen respectively. And over here we have the other part, the hidden part, which is basically where the Dracos come from, which are again fallen angelic entities, and where we get, the dragon in the book of Revelation and so on. Basically they're powerful fallen angelic entities. You can't say that they're, we think of angels as kind of human form, having arms and legs, but there are actual angelic entities like dragons and other creatures that are not actually of human form at all. Just as we see the living creatures around God's throne, the cherubim consisted of the eagle, the man, the ox and the lion. Okay, but here we see in this picture, again, this is this is turned the other way. So we've basically got Sirius, which is called Canis Major, on the upper right hand side, so it's actually turned around. But we see more here, because Aldebaran, and where the hunter's bow is actually pointing towards, is Aldebaran. And then we see the last part, which is the Pleiades, which actually the SDA Church and other groups such as that, I won't call them cults, but they actually think that's where heaven itself is. That's where Jesus Christ is just now, in the Pleiades. And I know the Grox has actually said in his videos that the saints will be brought to there. But what I'm telling you is that we'll be brought, if we are going to be raptured, we'll have to go through the wormhole, which is in the sword of Orion. We have to actually travel through there, and Yahweh, the Creator himself, actually sends us, like through the hunter's bow, points us, and we fly past the Aldebaran galaxy, and we actually arrive at the Pleiades, if that is indeed where the New Jerusalem and Yeshua and Jesus and all the angels are just now, which they could. I'm not saying they are, but I'm just saying it's possible. It's possible, but I always thought that the third heaven was above the actual universe itself. But again, it is possible, because in the spirit I have actually been to, I told you I wrote the book Starstruck, and in the spirit I was actually taken to the Orion Nebula. So I've seen around that in the spirit, and I've seen all the beings that have come from there. You know, they say that they're aliens, but they're not aliens, they're actually fallen angels. Now finally we see this picture. Now this is the 10th planet in our solar system, which is called Nibiru, or Nemesis. It's the one that's been kept hidden just now from the public, because it's called also the Destroyer, or Wormwood in Scripture. Well, this planet is causing a lot of bother, a lot of earthquakes, possibly helping to melt the North Pole and South Pole ice caps. But the main threat is going to come from the actual meteors which follow this planet. Now, once the planet is catapulted back around our sun, which I believe in the next few days it probably will start to be catapulted or back around the sun. The planetary alignment on December 21st, 2012, which is only a few days away. But again, the main threat is the meteors, and there is, I believe, a moon as well that surrounds the planet. Again, some of the hidden history of this planet that I've been shown is that there is advanced angelic beings that stay on this planet for a long time. There was a dispute between the two main species of the planet, or two main angelic species of the planet. There was a powerful, very strong angelic species on the planet, and a weaker species, a kind of dependent species, just like we have today. We can sort of segregate human beings into different categories nowadays. We call them third world countries and first world countries and all that. Well, it's kind of like that then. There's a great war and battle that actually ensued, and the stronger species that actually get quite tired of supporting the weaker species, angelic species, and they went to war and destroyed them. And the actual technology not only destroyed them, but destroyed their own people as well. So it's a little bit like, in our world, we have the two main superpowers. If they decide to go to war, basically everything else is going to suffer, and probably, their own empires will actually be destroyed at the same time. So, again, this is, if you look at Albert Pike's thesis and antithesis that he wrote back in the 18th century to the Italian general, which I've done videos about before, you can actually see Lucifer's plan is to set against one another empires, and especially racism as well is used in wars. Any difference at all that humanity has, Satan will try to use it against each other. But actually God created us differently so that we can can have diversity and we can support each other. And it's actually a very virtuous trait to have, some diversity, as long as the culture itself supports the worship of Yahweh and His Son Yeshua, which we know as Jesus Christ. Then there's nothing wrong with that culture. We can dance, we can sing, we can do all kind of things, as long as it's done in a pure heart and intentions are good. Then I'd obviously get you to examine your own culture, and obviously the so-called Christian feast days, festivals as we know as Christmas today, do not actually glorify the Son of God. The very brief history about this planet, unknown history about this planet, is that it's related to Rahab in the Old Testament. It's symbolically spoken about as the prostitute. I believe that most or all of the angelic entities on there were in rebellion with Lucifer, and basically the destruction of that planet, you can see that it is in a destroyed state. There's no life, that we know it, that can exist on a planet like that, unless they have extremely advanced technology, which again the fallen angels do have. Okay, they're able to create their Nephilim children, which also have advanced technology, and these drones and these we just say crossbreeds come down, and they have been actually harvesting human cells. They have been abducting human beings for the past several decades, and it's actually believed that when Napoleon's grave was opened last year for some research, there was an actual what was described as a computer chip. Now, we only know today what computers are, but obviously if it was found in Napoleon's body when he died, several hundred years ago now, they wouldn't have known what computers were at that time. But that's actually what was in his skull. So you can see that probably Adolf Hitler as well was microchipped, had actually the mark of the beast in him. So the mark of the beast itself comes from the fallen angels, and in the last days, obviously, they want this to go viral. They want this to actually affect all of humanity, and this in fact is the planet, the local terrestrial planet that all this activity, this fallen angelic activity, is coming from. Okay, and I believe after December 2012, December 21st, 2012 actually, there will be a great increase in UFO activity in the Earth, and there could be a false flag event whereby they will somehow get people to give up their rights to take this microchip and mark of the beast. Now, this is the wisdom of Yahweh, that this planet was actually left in I think it's a 2,000 or 3,000 year orbit of the sun, and it's because it's basically Yahweh uses this planet to rebuke planet Earth. When it's gone into rebellion. It's been in rebellion for about 6,000 years now. So it's kind of like stoning the adulteress. Remember, Yeshua was the only one that stepped in, and when the adulteress admitted her sin, Yeshua actually saved her. But the earth is in an adulterous state just now, with Lucifer and Satan worshipping demons and fallen angels, and he will use this planet and the meteors that come from this planet to actually stone the guilty adulteress, and the guilty adulteress is also called the harlot of Babylon in the book of Revelation, and this is how she's going to go down. Also associates to the stone empire in the book of Daniel, because the meteor itself comes and actually stones the harlot, and it speaks of the coming kingdom, which is to have limitless reign, and it's under the Ancient of Days, Yeshua HaMashiach himself, who's going to come and reign and rule on this earth with the saints. So there will only be a limited amount of destruction allowed on this earth, but it will actually be revived, and there will be a full reign on the earth with Yeshua and the saints for 1,000 years. And then we know that the dragon and Lucifer will be released again for a short time, only to be completely and utterly destroyed forever and ever in the lake of fire. And this is just to completely eradicate sin and the inclination of sin in mankind, and to actually preserve this planet Earth as well. Obviously, no matter what you think of your president, Barack Hussein Obama, has obviously got a scar on his head. You can see here, there's no valid explanation as to why he has it, except for mind control purposes. And basically the amount of policies the man's brought through makes George Bush, makes Hitler and so on look like amateurs. This guy has really went for the jugular for the first 4 years, and now he's going in for the kill. basically. America doesn't have 4 years left, I believe. As Paul Begley, as a picture in the background saying Obama 2016. America won't make it to 2016, guys. Now you can either fast and pray, get together as groups and fast and pray for America, or you can decide to actually leave the nation, because especially the cities, I believe you should leave the cities now. Now is the time to leave the cities. Go out. If you know anybody in the country, just gather your things and leave, because basically what you've got is a man who's basically, I could say demonically controlled, but he's actually got higher principalities that are controlling him, and they're putting technology in him so that their plans are carried out to the maximum effect. He's got this sweet personality, this very, very sweet face, but actually he's just completely demonically controlled by Lucifer, probably himself. So this is the final warning probably that I'll give. This is very in-depth, obviously, historical thing about our galaxy that we stay in, that we don't know, the hidden history of our galaxy, and beyond that. I hope it's been helpful. I hope you've enjoyed it, and bless you in the name of Yeshua, our Mashiach. Amen.